You are now listening to Shattercast Uncut. Prepare to be shattered with your hosts, Matt Baldwin, Skullface, Greg for Mercy, Oscar NJ Boy, T2RX6, Mega A1. Welcome to Shattercast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a Shattercast Uncut exclusive. That's right. Not too long ago, my good buddies, Skullface, Greg for Mercy, as well as T2RX6 had the pleasure of sitting down with one Mr. Gary Chalk, known for playing Optimus Primal as well as Optimus Prime. But you know what would be really great, guys, if we were able to sit there and get the other half of that fandom. Not only did this guy that we're talking with tonight voice Megatron on Beast Wars, the Unicron trilogy, but he's also the only voice actor to ever sit there and hold the crown of being able to say, I voiced not just Megatron, but Optimus Prime as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he's an established voice actor, and I am try my best not to fanboy out here. He is the one and only Mr. David Kaye.
Hello!
Thank you for joining us, sir.
No, this is my real voice here, actually. Megatron was really hard to do. Kind of Wally West there for a second. Sorry.
Yeah, hi. It's great to be here.
So yeah, and really big embarrassing moments aside, we're really glad you could join us today.
No problem.
And for those of you not to know, I didn't get I got my time zones really screwed up yesterday. But I apologize because
well, you know now.
I know, and knowing is half the battle. Thanks to you, sir. And so we're going to go ahead and just get this ball rolling because your time is limited, sir. We won't take you up too long. So I want to know, how did you start your voice acting, and how did that bring you into Transformers?
It started with a bald-faced lie. It was it's sort of a small white little lie, or a fib, as my mother would call it, basically. And it was back when I was living in Vancouver, and I was in the radio industry and did a lot of different radio shows, day parts on different radio stations across the country, and ended up in Vancouver, a beautiful city, and was part of the morning zoo and started doing character work on the zoo format. Was big back in the, when was that? Back in the 90s, I guess. Where I'd have to come up with characters and write songs and do comedy, and it was a first for me. But it sort of got me in doing voices and things. And one character was sort of like, Cowboy Dick, howdy boys and girls, gonna write a little song. It's kind of, and I'd play guitar and we'd have a lot of fun with that. And just developing different voices for the show. And, I had an audition come through very early on. I took this commercial modeling course, which I think at the time, if you had one eye, and walked with a limp and a hunchback, you'd make a really good model. And everybody would just take your money and they'd make you take classes. But on the other side of that, I met my very good friend, my first agent, Ross Rhodes, and he was in the commercial part of that modeling thing, which is kind of goofy for me. But the commercial part was we had to learn lines and do commercials and little scenes. And I kind of got a kick out of that. And one day driving him home, he said, you should think about getting an agent. Agents talk like that. They all talk like, hey, you know what you should do? They talk like this. I'm your agent. I talk. That's my agent voice. Is if I do that, you'll know who I'm doing. And I said, well, sure. He goes, no, I'll get home and think about it. And I said, no, I think it'd be great. So he said, okay, well, this is great then. I'm your agent and you're my new client. And it was early in his career and early in mine. And I got an audition about a few weeks later for G.I. Joe. Nice. And the Deke Animation was doing up there, and I was quite excited about it. I'd never seen audition sides before, or thought about doing cartoons. And I got called in, and I did these characters, and that's when the great Chris Latta was still with us and doing Cobra. And I read a few parts, and then the director behind the glass said, try General Hawk. And so I tried General Hawk, and he's one of those quick follow me toward the danger type characters, and I did that, and
nice.
I was cast, and then about 6 weeks later, and I was thrown into the fire. So that's how it started. I said I could do voices. He said, "Can you do voices?" Yeah, sure. I didn't know. So there you go.
Right on. Matthew, you have a question for David Kaye.
Okay. So how does it feel to be the only voice actor to play both Optimus and Megatron for the franchise? And also, how is it the only person to play Superman, Optimus Prime, Junior Hawk, and a Captain America, which were all American iconic heroes, and being Canadian?
It's the irony, isn't it? Here's the thing about our two countries, and obviously I'm a hockey now. You can tell I have the DNA.
Right.
But I grew up on, because we can't move away. We're right there at the border. We have all the TV stations and signals that come in, and I grew up on all that great Saturday morning cartoon stuff and a great I was a big famous Monsters of Filmland. What was that magazine? Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine. I was huge into that. Every time I get a comic book, I look in the back and want to send away for something. Like the 6-foot Frankenstein, which turned out to be a plastic piece of, like a garbage bag with two glow-in-the-dark eyes, and sent away for army men and stuff. It would say, U.S. residents only. I was like, oh, come on! And the first time I remember moving down here, and I went, wait a minute, hey, I can order anything I want now, and it'll come to my house. So I was thrilled. I grew up on American radio, the talents, I knew everyone. Was one of my goals long ago I wanted to work with the best and be with the best. And I don't know how I was going to get here at the time, but I just thought this is where I wanted to be. My family history and ancestry is upstate New York. So it wasn't foreign to most of my family. I'm the first one to come back across the 49th, actually.
Wow.
So it was always in the back of my mind anyway, and to be able to play those iconic American characters is it's amazing. I owe this country a lot. My career, I owe this country a lot. Period. I wouldn't have this career. I wouldn't have, the life I have if it wasn't for this country. So I'm very, very thankful about that. You cannot knock the hockey out of me. Ever. Depends where you were. If you're German, you wouldn't, you're always German. Yeah. But I am very happy with my career, and I'm loving it here in Los Angeles and enjoying working with some great people, and so I'm very thankful.
I do have to say, I told my friends this yesterday. I was like, of all my friends that lived out west when they had that earthquake hit recently, they were all like, oh, we're cool, we're fine. Of all stats, yours sat there and said, shaken, not stirred.
Yeah.
I was like, that spoke volumes to me. I was like, yeah, that's why he'll survive.
Yeah, it is a bit of a thing out here. The earthquakes and the fires at some time. But, you have to be ready. We have our earthquake kit. It's something we had one in Vancouver. It was a big one. I remember when I was living up there, and that spooked everybody. But here you almost expect it. You just have to be prepared and be ready. Well, that's all you can do, and live your life.
Right on. Right on. Greg, you have a question for David Kaye.
I do. I'm actually kind of excited to hear your side of this. We asked Gary the same question, and we got a pretty good response. So, the Transformers movies, whatever, it's a big thing now. Mm-hmm. Did anyone ever approach you about that?
No.
About doing any of them?
I did.
Really?
I did read for a few of them. I just figured that's not what they were looking for, and I kind of moved on. That's what you have to do on audition. Sure, I'd love to be. I mean, who wouldn't? I've always wanted to be a voice in Star Wars in the thing. But
I'm sure if you would have walked in there smoking a cigar and blew up a couple of cars, you would have been cast instantly.
Maybe for the next one, maybe that's an idea. Note to self: bring cigar,
blow up random vehicles, and
cars. Well, there's a second.
Yeah, I just think they had their ideas. They don't know who the hell I am, and that's Peter's done a great job, and Frank was in there, and my buddy DiMaggio, I think, is involved. But it's awesome, just to be a part of the franchise, period.
Well, my second part of the question was, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the films. How do you feel about the direction they take the characters, as opposed to like the old, hero Optimus Prime back in the 80s, and now you've got like Face Ripper, Kill 'Em All Optimus Prime. Like, how do you feel about the way they've kind of turned that hero archetype around and like made it more of a violent, big screen kind of deal?
Yeah, I don't know if I have any thoughts on that. Gary's answer is probably going to be way better than mine.
His was heated. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
I don't know. I saw the first two. It was loud, and there was a lot of explosions and blowing things up. The first one, it was almost like when you leave the film, you walk out and say, well, "Okay, what did I just see? What did I just see?"
Yeah.
That's a big film.
I have a headache. What did I just see? I'm not sure. I'm not a good one to rate movies. I try and give certain things the benefit of the doubt. As far as story, it's a Hollywood blockbuster, and I didn't expect a deep sort of a discussion or anything out of it. It was, to me, is paying your $10 and getting on a roller coaster at Knott's Berry Farm and then riding it and then leaving.
Yeah.
That's as far as I don't think too much into it. And they're going to do what they're going to do, and either I liked it or I didn't, and I kind of go about my day. I don't have too many thoughts either way.
Yeah.
It is my attitude is it is what it is. Next.
Yep. All right.
I apologize for that. I'm really sorry.
No,
you're fine.
For what?
Yeah. I wanted your opinion, or I wouldn't have asked.
No, thank you
very much.
Yeah, you shut Greg up. Good job. A lot of us been trying it for about a year now. But Matthew, you have another question for David Kaye.
Do you have a role among anything you've done as a favorite of yours? And if so, what was that role?
Let me see. There's been some great moments.
So there's so many I know to choose from. So
Megatron was so fun to do. So fun to do. I've done a bunch of characters in Ben 10 over the last little while. They've been fun. I really liked the character I played in that recently, Kyber, because I didn't have to yell or scream.
He's very thoughtful, and he's sort of a South African, bit of an Australian accent, and he's down in here and doesn't have to. Ben Tennyson, oh dear.
It didn't really get too heated, and I love that sort of playing around, almost like with Megatron. You kind of play with the words, and you're able to have a bit of fun with it and not get too, crazy.
Right.
I do enjoy playing the big baby on the regular show because it's just so silly. And my coolest experience. And there's been a ton, man, and I'm so grateful and fortunate. But to have the chance to go up to Pixar and work on the film Up and work with
that was cool.
With Peter Docter and everybody from that was ridiculous. It was like being at a wedding receiving line where you're smiling the whole time, and I almost couldn't work because I had this perma smile. And oh my God, I walked in, they pick you up at the airport, and they take you to Pixar. They're in Emeryville, California, and you go through the gates and you walk in this big foyer area, and it's like if you're watching Silicon Valley, where that Huli or whatever the company is, a fictitious company, it's like walking to this giant, magnificent on this campus, and there's a giant Mike and a giant Sully, and it's like I'm here to see Peter Docter. All right, it was crazy to work in that environment and to visit that campus and be a part of that film. That was one of the highlights, I gotta say, Pixar.
So when you go there, it's just like us meeting, us fans meeting you. It's just like,
yeah, and the funny, and the coolest, there's two cool things there, besides even working on the film, was seeing, it was three, seeing the models for WALL-E that were displayed in cases that are priceless, the original models for the characters and stuff. Wow. Seeing, number two was, the guy showed me that now you think a swimming pool. Oh, but you saw a swimming pool. Well, yeah, there's an Olympic-sized swimming pool there for people who want to swim laps. It's a campus. It's crazy. But he said, this is the pool where they dressed a guy up in a rat suit, and they put him in, and they made him get out, and they filmed it so they could see how the water rolls off the fur of the rat. Of course, Ratatouille. That, in a way, that's that specific. And The other, most important thing for me there blew my mind was the cereal room. Because they work there 24 hours a day, and there's every kind of cereal you could ever imagine or ever want in the cereal room. So anytime, hey, I'm going to have a bowl of cereal. You want Count Chocula? There it is. Want Frankenberry? There it is. Boo Berry? Yeah, they got, you know what I mean? It was crazy. It's a crazy experience.
Thank you.
Greg, you have a question for David Kaye.
I do. The internet and technology being as accessible as it is today, I know I see it whenever I go on. People are doing various, like fan fiction projects and things like that, doing their own animations. Do you have any advice for people like this to kind of go from like their laptop screen to big screen to kind of break out and start a career?
Yeah, that's how things are done these days. That's how it's being done and getting done. If you have an idea, you create something. And you have an instant audience. As before, and it's still done here in Hollywood, you still do the pitches. My friend's pitching a big movie, and I have another friend who's doing this. We're going to go pitch this and get Nickelodeon, and you still get in there and meet the people. But that model is tougher. And for example, I think it's Breadwinners. My buddy Eric Bow is on, and very early on, the guy said, "Hey, listen, I'm doing this goofy little thing on my computer, and come over and do a couple of voices for it." And of course. Now we fast forward a few years, and Breadwinners is this really funny show that's on regular television. So they made it. They just made it. And you never know who's going to see it and what kind of audience it's going to create. It's fantastic to have that ability to create something where we couldn't really before. Because if you're, say, in somewhere in Podunk, Iowa, and you want to get an idea or a script to somebody in Hollywood, well, how is that going to happen a while ago? Now, you make something and send people links and things get forwarded and retweeted, and somebody in an office here in LA says, yeah, that's kind of a cool idea. And then bang, things happen. So it's great. So everyone has an opportunity to put their ideas out there. It's awesome.
Cool.
Wow.
Cool deal.
So I was wondering, is there any sort of Transformer work that you have planned in the foreseeable future? Is there anything you'd like to let our listeners know that you're currently working on or might be working on that wouldn't make you lose your job, obviously, because, non-disclosure agreements?
Yes. Well, there's a new, I'm not sure, there's a newer series or something out there. And there might be a new series, and there might be a me involved. You never know.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
But otherwise, that's as much as I can say about that. It's been an honor to be part of most of the franchise. I did a Scooby-Doo recently last week with Frank Welker, of course, there, and I've done a few Scoobies and been in as a guest voice on it with J.B. Blanc and Mindy Sterling and myself were the guests on the show, and of course the main cast. And to watch Frank work and to realize when I'm sitting there too is he's of course the first Megatron, and we talked afterward. He's such a gracious guy, and we yacked a bit about doing conventions and things like that. And it throws me for a loop that I'm actually there in the same room working with him, as a fan. So that's kind of neat, getting a chance to work with Frank on other things. And the big feature film coming out next year is the Ratchet and Clank, the movie. It looks like it's getting some good buzz. There's some bits and pieces we've seen from the film. It looks awesome, and that'll be a fun ride. And there's a little young kids and for parents with kids. There's a crayon movie coming out, Hero of Color City, and there's a lot of great folks involved in that. A lot of stars, and somehow they hired me, and I play the black crayon, and Christina Ricci is the yellow crayon.
Why you gotta be a black crayon, David? Why you gotta be racist?
The difference is different. Let's see, the black crayon is the woe is me crayon. It's the Eeyore of the colors.
We're all going to die. Excellent.
That was emo. That's great.
Yes, I get out of bed and put on my black cloak and great. I have to fight a monster. Figures.
It's that sort of woe is me character.
So like everyone's talking in in the middle of the room. He's sitting there in the corner. He just goes, "Sigh."
Yes, exactly.
Hoping people will turn around and be like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing here?"
It.
I don't want to talk about it. I'm so upset.
Who else in there? Oh, Rosie Perez is in that. Craig Ferguson, Wayne Brady.
Really?
Owen Wilson is signed on. Jessica Capshaw and Zoe Bright. And so somehow I ended up in that mix. I'll never know how, but I'm so thankful I did. And that's coming out in October. I believe it's October. Yeah, this year. So there's a bunch of it's all kinds of goofy, fun little stuff, and some NDAs I can't speak about. But
of course, yeah, because we kind of like you working, so we don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, actually,
especially.
Definitely.
So I think that's about does it. So we want to thank you for your time, David. I really appreciate it again. Sorry for yesterday, but as always,
I have time
you could check out
for one more question. Anybody have another question? We got a few minutes, but it's
you're gonna go. Are you gonna be in any more conventions? Can you say
Oh yeah, thank you. There's a good question.
There you go, yeah.
I don't get invited to too many. My schedule's kind of. Here's the deal. I get selfish with my weekends. But I like to go places that I haven't been before,
right.
And I do enjoy traveling. But it's tough for me because I'm also doing radio and television trailer and promo work for different networks like Nat Geo and ABC, and so I have to bring my work with me if I go anywhere. So it becomes a bit of a logistics thing. But when I do go, I love it, and it's great to meet everyone. And next week. The BotCon is happening in Pasadena, which is just up the street, and I will be there at BotCon this year with Sue Blue and Marty Eisenberg. I can't remember who else, but we'll be there on Saturday evening for there's a dinner, a special thing.
If you have a golden ticket, you can enter the arena.
And then on Sunday, yes, you can enter the arena with a golden ticket. Excellent. You're allowed.
God.
You're not.
You're awesome.
Hey, all right. Well, I want to stop laughing.
Yeah, no, and then that's Chicago possibly in October. I love Chicago.
We will be there.
TFCon?
We'll be there.
The possibility that's still, and there's also CharterCon next year.
Okay.
Wow.
So I'm really looking forward to. I've not been to the U.S. South, and I'm looking forward to visiting anywhere. It's Atlanta in that area.
Right.
You should come to Florida. We'll hang out, bro.
I've been there in Florida for a long time, and so. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to come and meet fans and hang out. That's always fun.
Great.
But
I hope you make it to TFCon. Yes.
The which? What's that?
I hope you make it to TFCon. That'd be
TFCon. That's Toronto, right?
No,
Well, it's in Chicago as well.
Chicago. That's the Chicago one. I think that's a distinct possibility that TFCon will happen in Chicago.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that.
Cool.
Right on. So once again, I want to thank you for your time, David, and for Greg for Mercy and Matthew Deluxe. I am Oscar Alonso, and the other guys at Shattercast Uncut want to tell you, take care of yourselves and each other. You've just been shattered.